Hello everyone, Mark McClay from CEP here. Welcome to the small school panel discussion. So today, as you can see from the map that's about to come up, we have Louis Frank from Amphitheatre Primary School. We have Nicole Pollard from Marlow Primary School. We have Luke Dalton from Nye and District Primary School. And we have Kevin Hill from Everton Primary School. As you can see, we are spread far and wide. The purpose of today's session, each principal will just outline their area, get you familiar with their school and their community. And today's session is very much about the positive benefits, the advantages of being small, of being a small school. We really want to kick off today's forum in the positive, glass half full. And we're very privileged that these four principals have given their time to us today. So without further ado, up first is Louis Frank from Amphitheatre Primary School. Over to you, Louis.
Thanks, Mark. My name's Louis Frank. I'm the principal at Amphitheatre Primary School. I've been out here for the last 5 years. Our school is a small rural school located in the Pyrenees Ranges, which is between sort of Maryborough, Avoca and Ararat in the central location in central Victoria. At the moment, we have 14 students at our school and 2 part-time teachers. It's a rural location, mainly surrounded by sheep farms. So that's our main clientele, our students are farmers. And the only thing apart from the school that's still open in the town is the local post office. So yeah, that's our little area, the Amphitheatre Primary School. If we move to slide 2, so our presentation is all about the advantages of being small, and there are lots of advantages. One of them being strong relationships. So strong relationships are the key to a positive culture in our small setting. Being small allows for deep, meaningful relationships. And what makes it easier potentially is the ability to know everyone personally. That includes staff, students and families. We really know our stakeholders well. And I guess that can have a flip side as well, of course, when things can get difficult or with any of the above mentioned stakeholders. Communication's a real advantage in a small school. It's quite simple in a small school setting. The communication platform we use is You Educate Us, so it's quick to communicate with families, and sometimes the use of text messages or phone calls. You can quickly communicate with staff. You can quickly communicate with families, through newsletters, and it's easy to make contact with all of our stakeholders and get the relevant communication out there. And examples of that recently, we had fires here in our local area, and it was really quick. It was easy to get in touch with all our families when we had to shut down our school, or even during, I can reflect back to COVID times when the government would put those restrictions in place, but we could quickly communicate with all our families. The next one I've written down is change. So implementing change is a real advantage in a small school. So any new curriculum initiatives or curriculum programs are often relatively smooth in their implementation when working with a small staff. For example, coordinating professional development isn't overly complex, and also resourcing these programs to implement effectively are an advantage in a small school context. In my experience so far, in my small school, we've had lots of good financial resourcing as well, which gives our students the best of opportunities. Examples of this have been the Tutor Learning Initiative, where 50% of our students got to participate, and the same with the mental health funding, where most of our students have access to a provisional psychologist through the local One Red Tree Psychology Service in Ararat. So that's a real advantage in our small school setting. If you move to the next slide, our opportunities for students are a real plus in small schools. Obviously, we have small class sizes, and having a class, well, here at Amphitheatre at the moment, we have a junior classroom and a senior, so one group of 6 and one group of 8. So the students have lots of one-on-one time with their teacher, and that has its obvious advantages. We have students on individual learning plans as well, so that's a real advantage and quite it's not complex to create. Also, tailoring individual work to individual students. So if I've got a student here who loves horses and the equine field, we can tailor our lessons to that. We've got students who are riding to train, so you can really hone in on what individual students like as their motivator. Opportunities. Another opportunity for our students is we build strong relationships with the community, because around here at Amphitheatre there's not a lot of other outlets for communication. So often we'll have a barbecue here or other community events where the whole community get involved, and our kids really know their community. The next one I've got down is sport. So our students will often compete in lots of different things. They'll represent our school in athletics, in basketball, in football, and netball, and table tennis. They'll get all sorts of opportunities to represent their school. And it's the same with leadership. We have roles here, and the kids get their formal leadership roles, whether that be school captain or student voice representative. But there's also lots of opportunities for leadership in a small school, just in the general organisation, whether that be putting the bins out or different jobs around the school, that our kids get to step up and show leadership because they just have to in this small school setting. If we move to the next slide. I just came up with the analogy that, and I've worked in bigger schools before, and the small school setting, they're chalk and cheese, really. As a principal in a small school setting, you dabble in lots of different areas, from being a curriculum leader, a wellbeing leader, resourcing ICT to PD, OH&S, classroom teacher, human resource management, grounds and facilities, and financial management. Sometimes I feel you have lots of different areas of focus, but maybe you don't sort of master one. You're a bit of an all-rounder. Relationships, as I mentioned earlier, I reckon they're the most important thing in the small school setting, particularly, just those relationships you need to build. Another fantastic aspect of small schools is the flexibility you have in the small school. You can have off-the-cuff learning experiences and opportunities for your students. Like here a few weeks ago, the fire brigade turned up out the front, so they were able to show all our students through their fire truck. Those sort of opportunities, you just can't upheaval at a big school and grab those incidental opportunities when they happen. So there's lots of those opportunities, because the timetable can always just be quickly moved or adjusted with minimal impact to stakeholders. Even meeting structures and assemblies can work around what suits everyone best. So that flexibility in a small school is a real positive. Thanks for the opportunity to share why I think small schools are great and a really good opportunity for people to experience. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Louis. Fantastic. Okay, from Central Victoria, we head east to Nicole Pollard at Marlow Primary.
Thanks, Mark. Just wait for the slides to come up. Thanks, Kira. So we are in Marlow. Marlow's a little coastal town. We're about 2 hours from the border. Most people know where Mallacoota is, so we're a little way from there, about an hour and a half from Bairnsdale. So we're very fortunate. We can see the ocean from all of our classrooms and our staff rooms. So I was just thinking, reflecting on what Louis just said about the flexibility, and small schools definitely do offer that. We actually had whales come past recently, and the whole school went to the beach to look at the whales. So it definitely is one of the benefits. We've got just shy of 40 students here at the moment. I won't go through all our staff. We've got quite a few. Most of them are part-time, where one of the benefits, I think, of a small school setting is that you have the ability to be flexible with your staffing. So we've got 6 ed support who work with us. Only one of them is full-time, and we've got 5 teachers and our business manager. So yeah, that's where we are. If you can flip to the next slide for us, please. So I think, Louis, you've definitely hit the nail on the head with what you've said, and we agree that one of the real benefits of being small is that you really know your students. You know all about them academically, you know their interests, you know their family, you know their parents, their aunts, their uncles, their cousins. Sometimes it can be hard to work out where those boundaries cross in a small community, but you really know everything about them, and you know about, and that, you know, double-edged sword sometimes, as you said, but it's it's so nice that I can walk out and we meet our students every day at the gate, and I can ask, how was the foot in the weekend? How was your trip to Melbourne? How's your study going, to a mother who's studying to be a nurse? So we really do know our students. They know us too. All of our staff live within 15 minutes of the school. So it goes for staff too. And it definitely has that real collegiality amongst people who work together. So I think those close relationships that you build in a small school amongst the staff are definitely a real positive too. As we said, taking advantage of opportunities as they arise. So we have a beautiful beach that's about a 15-minute drive from us, and when we've got good weather, we can go down there for a barbecue. We had our local Koori Co-op come down the other day for reconciliation week. They cooked sausages, we had donuts, and we did a great activity together. So it's really taking opportunities as they come up, which I think is a real benefit too. And again, those relationships, because you are, as we said, wearing so many hats in a small school as a principal, but also as teachers have great opportunities to take on roles that they might not normally have early in their career. For example, we've got a second year graduate who is our numeracy coordinator. So when we have people come into the school, they're surprised that she's got that role, but she's amazing and she's doing it and she's supported, and you don't necessarily get that opportunity when you're in a larger school. So I think that's definitely a benefit too. Go to the next slide, please. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about small school clusters. We're part of a couple of different clusters. One is location-based, and we combine for things like sports. Being a smaller school, we only have one grade 6 and 2 grade 5s. So sports teams are very hard to have in our school. And so we actually combine with a couple of other local schools to have teams so they can actually play together, so that our cross country, we're not sending everyone through the next round, because obviously that isn't practical. It also means that come year 7 and transition to our local high school, the kids have those relationships. So that small cluster is in that sense. And another small cluster we're part of is actually schools who spread from where we are to 2 hours up to near Mount Hotham and then down to near Meetung. So the 4 schools work together for literacy. And I think there's some real key benefits to small school clusters if you're able to do them. I asked my staff what they thought the benefits were, and the key benefit that everyone talked about was that collegiality, the ability to talk to other people who are in the same situation as them. So we have a Prep 1 class, a 2-3 class, and a 3-6 class at the moment. And while they work really well together, I think it's really important for teachers in small schools to collaborate with people in other schools teaching the same grade level as them. In a larger school, you might have 3 year 1 classes or 6 year 2 classes. We don't have that opportunity here. So that was one of the key things that the teachers said was really important about small school clusters, was that they got to talk to people who were in the same situation as them, which is really great. The other thing that they enjoyed was the collaboration. So being able to share resources, it can be a lot in a small school. We're trying to develop we have the same things we have to do, but there's less people to share the workload. So if we're developing scope and sequence, we're developing inquiry units, having people to work with is such a benefit. So that's been really great. When I've noticed that when we get together once a term in our small school cluster, it's just so full of energy. The teachers are so happy to work together and see each other, but they're just so passionate about what they're talking about as well. They know their kids inside out. They know what their needs are. And like Louise said, they know their interests. And it means that this shared passion just brings such a great feel when we have our whole school days. It's really brilliant. It does offer support as well. So we had one in our most recent small school cluster day. We had a teacher come in and saying, this student is all over the place. I'm not sure where to mark them. We're talking moderation for writing. And they were able to ask their colleagues, what do you think? Which you can do within your school, but when it's very small, it doesn't hurt to have somebody else have a look. So that supporting each other, and it can be behaviourally, it can be emotionally, and it can be academically for the students as well. And I found that that's been a real benefit of working with other schools and just sharing experiences. So what we've been doing up till now is we've been the teachers working together, but we're actually just starting to bus the students in as well. So we've got students from a local primary school, their Prep 1 class coming to join our Prep 1s, and they're working together and they're modelling teaching, but the kids are actually sharing the writing experience, and it's been such a great benefit for our kids to meet other kids and see other kids, but also for the teachers to team teach and work together as well. So I can't speak highly enough of the small school cluster work. If you're able to do it, it's a real benefit. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Nicole. Fantastic. And now just a short little 9-hour drive from Marlow, and you would hit Naya. So over to you, Luke.
Thanks very much, Mark. Thank you for this opportunity to share our work that we're doing in the Southern Mallee of Victoria. Naya District Primary School is 53 students. We've got 31 families that are our school, and we see ourselves as the real hub of this district. We engage with our community really heavily. We have a lot of positive interactions. We recently ran our cross country, and the students head out around the streets of Naya, and they were supported and cheered on by, you know, almost the entire town. It's a really positive atmosphere out here. We're very fortunate to have great support from many community groups, from the local Men's Shed to the Naya District Action Group and the Girl Guides. We see ourselves as integral in our community. Our motto is "Together we learn," and we honestly live by that day in, day out, where our staff are demonstrating that to our wonderful students. There are many advantages of being in a small school, and as has been mentioned, the staff get to know our students, their families, and their many needs. But we're also really fortunate that we have our students getting to know us as well, and the relationships that can be formed with our families and our students are always really positive and tremendous to see when they are in action. One moment. We also have a real consistency of approaches with our teaching and learning within our 3 classrooms. We've recently taken on board the school-wide positive behaviour supports, and to a person within the school, that process has been taken on by our staff, and our students get to live and see that SWPBS each day. We also rebranded our values, and the values are now an integral part of our school, and the students and staff both understand them, use them on a daily basis, and they've been a real asset to us. So the consistency that we can get in a small school is next level. We're also fortunate to have education support staff in each of our classrooms, and we have local people filling those roles, people who have been to the school, people who have lived in the local community, and the supports that they can give to our students at their point of need are always fantastic and a real positive for the teaching staff, because that allows them to focus even more carefully on some of the students in their grade that need those supports. The other thing that I wanted to say, as has already been mentioned, is that small schools can be extremely flexible. Decision making can be done by everyone in collaboration within the school. A quick conversation after school, everyone joins the same page, and you can take off in a new direction. We found that extremely valuable with our teaching, and the focuses that we've been able to work on can be really specific, taking elements out of our AIP to do that work, and really beneficial for the kids. But that flexibility flexibility allows us to target things that need to be adjusted on the go at times as well. Thank you. Next slide. We're also really fortunate to work, and have been working for a number of years now, in a great cluster with other small local schools, and the support that we get from the cluster work that we do has been fantastic, very positive. As mentioned by other people today, the collegiality that we get to engage in is always wonderful. Being able to talk to another prep teacher about their prep students when we've only got 4 prep students at our school is such an asset for those teachers. We can do that formally and informally as well, with many different means of communication within our cluster. I've been able to share lots of different things, our knowledge and experiences from our brand new teachers who have just come out of university to the experienced people who have been within the network for a number of years. It's always a two-way conversation, and people are sharing what they know, their expertise, really confidently. We focus on curriculum often when we are working in a cluster, and ensuring that, sometimes the load can be pretty extreme in a small school, but with supports that certainly becomes a little bit easier. And we also share our resources, and that can go from anything from ICT resources and robotic items right through to if someone needs a couple of extra tables, we're happy to share those type of things. Anything and everything is open to be shared, including our data. And the amount of trust that we've been able to gather together in the Southern Mallee around data sharing has been really beneficial, has allowed for some really positive conversations amongst our small school staff, and has really led to some powerful change as well. Thank you. The last slide just gives us the key messages that Nye District Primary School finds. Working in a small school can be pretty challenging at times. You, as mentioned by Nicole, wear a lot of hats. It can give you some sensational opportunities as well to take on roles that in other schools are a bit harder to come by, but the rewards can be immense, and the job satisfaction that staff in small schools tends to be extremely high, and I think that's built upon those relationships. Our staff are amazing, as they do wear a lot of hats and they do many things, but the commitment and endeavour to provide the best possible education for our students is to a fault amazing to see, and a real credit to the staff that work in these small schools. And then the last one is, even within our cluster and definitely within our school, we tend to have a lot of fun. We try to make education enjoyable for the kids, and the best way to do that is through us having a great time as well, out in the yard kicking the football with the children. Excuse me. This Friday we're having a big donut day because it's International Donut Day, and being able to chop and change and meet the needs of what's happening on a day-to-day basis is part of our work, but it can be a lot of fun as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luke. We're already seeing some common themes through our three presenters. And very lastly, we head to the town of beautiful autumn leaves and English Premier League aficionados who love having their photo taken out the front of the school with the school sign. So over to Kevin Hill at Everton to bring us home.
Too true, Mark. We did have Sir John Jones stop in. Couldn't believe that we are in Everton blue. He's a mad Everton Football Club fan. On his way through, he stopped in and got to see some of those benefits of the small school with his very own eye. So, as Mark said, we're in sunny northeast Victoria. A little bit chilly this time of year, just at the foothills of some pretty big mountain ranges. Mount Buffalo we can see just over the back of the schoolyard, and I'm lucky enough I live in the huge regional centre of rural Wangaratta, and I get to follow the Torreong, the Ovens River out the entire way until we arrive at this little gem here. And look, I genuinely believe that's one of the main advantages of small schools, just being able to get away from a little bit of hustle and bustle and be able to just experience life just at a slightly different pace with some slightly different values and variables, I suppose. We're a tiny little school. We've got 11 students here at the moment. And a few years ago, I was lucky enough during a school review to be able to create our school values in consultation with students and the community and families and everybody. And I'd just like to frame some of the advantages of our small rural school in that context of connect, learn and grow. I think that at the time when we're making the values, we didn't realise just how deep we'd end up with that. And I think it highlights some of the advantages that we can offer in regards to connect, we can connect deeply, and kudos to the other schools who have highlighted that as one of the main things that we do in these small rural schools. Like I've worked in 100 kid, 200 kid, 1,000 kid schools, and you think you know the kids until you come to this boutique sort of system where before they hit prep, if they're a sibling, you know everything about them. You know what they were like when they were 2 years old and 3 years old. And you know what their favourite football team and costumes and hobbies and everything before they even hit prep. So being completely part of their lives as they're growing up, and them seeing this as not just a school you go to after kinder, but a place where their older brother and sister went, and they know you already and they know the system. And we get to connect obviously with their siblings and their parents and carers across, but we also get to connect with the wider community as touched. 11 students we have here, as I mentioned, but we put on an open barbecue evening with some local young entertainment. Kids cooked up a storm through their Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden program and served it out. And we had 150 people in our school grounds enjoying what it was. So our ability to share and connect genuinely with not just a group of grade threes, but to be able to connect with the cross age, all the way from the students doing it, but through to parents and having genuine relationships with adults and in caring and nurturing ways. It also allows us to be able to assist them to learn, in such an individual and tailored way as well. Once they've connected and they're safe, we know the research suggests that they're ready for that next little bit there where they can learn to the very best of their ability. We get a different level of student voice and agency through, I believe, in small schools. We can genuinely tailor things, be flexible to their needs and wants, not just in superficial ways, but in really deep, authentic and genuine ways. If we see that all of a sudden we have a couple of students who are interested in bikes, like we can be flexible and agile and get that bike ed program in here. We can purchase some bikes and get them riding at recess and lunchtime. And it's those sorts of activities that we always just shake our head and say, you couldn't do this in a big school.